What was the biggest lesson your grandmother that she taught you growing up that you still think about to this day that really helped carry you through your life?
I think my work ethic. Um, I definitely think my work ethic. That's the thing that has gotten me through days when I didn't think I could get up. I think one of the biggest lesson she taught me, and I've talked about this before, is even in the depths of depression, and for anybody who has been through depression or is going through depression, um, uh, and one of the hardest things is to show up, right?
Because
So,
you're exhausted, you're drained, you don't feel good about yourself, you're self-loathing, you're just want to
dude,
lay around and do nothing.
you just want to lay around. And I'll even go a step further, say that for my own personal journey with depression, it's not even laying around and doing nothing. I've talked to my therapist, and the way that I visualize things. It's always, I think, in a very I'm a very big sci-fi nerd, and it's I picture my my battery, that if I'm this superhero and I go out in the world and I show up in my suit of armor and I'm able to do everything I can, it's like someone has just gone around back and removed that battery. And no matter what I do, sitting there like, I gotta I gotta get up, I gotta get out to but I can't. I can't function because my battery, my arms are too heavy, my body is too heavy, my heart is too heavy, my legs won't work the right way. So the easiest thing to do is just to, okay, it's just to shut down. No matter what I want to do, I just shut down. So to combat that, because I've got to show up. I've got to show up for people. I have to show up for my daughter. I have to show up for my job, because my job is how I take care of the of the machinery that is set up around me. So I make my bed. That's one of the things that old lady,
Mm.
my grandmother, and if anyone, watching, if you are raised either an island, if you're of island descent, or if you're a child of an immigrant and you're first generation here, you know the thing of get up, make your bed, and go, and just go, because once that bed is made, now you have stuff to do. You don't have the luxury of stopping. Now, to a degree, on the surface, I will say that's it's a little toxic, because of the whole, because that generation, what's depression? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just mask it. Just yeah.
If my grandma were still alive and we talked about it, and I think if I tried to explain to her, no, 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 mommy, like when you feel really bad, I feel bad all the time. I still work, I still get up, I go, so that generation is like, no, we don't have the luxury of, I feel sad, I feel bad, I can't wake up, I can't go. So just do it, and you don't talk about your stuff. That's the toxic component of that.
Right.
So I hear that. But the good piece of it is, if I make my bed, I have no option now, because I've made my bed. It is, you could bounce a quarter off of it. I can't get back in that
You're not
bed.
going back in.
I'm not getting back in the bed. So now go. And that is how, even through some of the roughest patches, that has gotten me through. Even this past year, I lost my grandmother, and I've been very, I've talked about it a little bit. I did Dancing with the Stars last year, and I dedicated it to her, and this is the anniversary of her. This month, actually, she's been gone a year. This is one of the darkest years I've had, because I always lived in fear of losing that old lady,
Oh.
and a lot of what I did in terms of success, once I got to a certain point, I was like, look, Ma, look what I did. Look, this is my show. I'm going to fly out to see my show. Look, Mom, this is the show that I'm in on tour. I'm going to fly you out. Look, Mom, I'm in Vegas. Come play all the slots you want and come and see the show. Look, Mom, I'll do a soap opera so you can come and say, hey, for so many of the things that I've done, I did so she could be happy. And then when that person's gone, it's like, oh, now what? Now what? And that little battery plucked right out my back.
Really?
So I've spent this past year really trying to dig myself out of that.
Wow. What has been the biggest, I guess, realization you've created in this last year? It sounds like you've been doing emotional coaching and therapy and
Absolutely.
supporting yourself in that. What is the thing you've learned since her passing in this last year that has supported you in facing the depression or the different things that you were chasing and running from to now face and heal and mend? What are those lessons you learned?
One of the lessons is definitely how to start to try to forgive myself, which is very hard, especially if you think that you've done things wrong, because there are no time machines. So the most that you could do is either sit and dwell on it and go, I'm such a hole and I've blown all this stuff and I'm wrong, blah, 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 and live in that, or decide to go, I did, or that really wasn't your fault, man. Like you just took blame for something that, because it's also easy, especially where depression lays, it's very easy to, well, I've already got 10 pounds of stuff on my back. Yeah, I'll just take more, because now it's an excuse. Now I can just wrap up in it, and now I have a reason.
Life be depressed.
Yeah, now I have a good reason. So learning to,
I got this pressure and this thing and this weight and all this responsibility.
bring it.
Wow.
So to forgive yourself.
What have you had to forgive the most about yourself?
I think one of the things that I definitely felt was I wish I would have been there more for my daughter in her formative years, because I was chasing. I wasn't there for her on her first day of kindergarten because I had just released a record and I was performing at the R&B museum in Philadelphia. It was a big deal, and I'm singing and doing this stuff. But my daughter screaming because dad wasn't there, and I'm telling this small kid, no, it's okay, but daddy, it's all right, but daddy's doing this, daddy has to, and stuff like that. I have all these incidents all throughout her childhood that are little slivers that I can replay all over and over in my head. And now she's 20. So I think I always feel a lot of guilt about those things. And I've always tried my best to be there for her otherwise. That is my heart, my pride and joy. She is amazing. And I'm proud of the person that she's grown into. But I see where you can't not be affected by certain things in your childhood. And like with her, I see that she craves stability. She craves stability in her choices, and she has intention. And I see that that's the positive and the negative. The positive is she has intention and she's doing that. But I see where, and she's even said, this is the kind of place I want to live, and this is the life I want to live, and these are the things I want to do because, you and mom.
Wow.
You guys were always going and going and going.
There was no stability or no, that feeling.
And so we had stability, but of a different kind. Like she wants like the white picket fence stability.
Right.
She's like, I want this.
Someone there at a certain time every day.
And that's what she's looking for in a partner. That's what she's looking. So it's interesting to see the effects of your conditioning and your parenting on another human being now that she's becoming an adult.
Wow.
And so things like that.
It sounds like you've got a pretty good relationship with her now, and you've been communicating these things with her as well in this process.
Yeah, we have a great relationship, man. We butt heads. We butt heads a lot because she is my mini me, and we will all the time, but with love.
Yeah.
We bump heads, we're mad, then we turn back, go back around, and we hug and we kiss, and I'm really fortunate that she is the person that she is.
What's the thing you love about her the most and the lessons she's taught you about being a better man?
The thing I love about her the most now that I see her, because I did a very, I'm gonna say toxic and unhealthy because I can't think of a better word for it. But I realized a while ago, a couple of years ago, and she had to tell me. At first, I thought she was joking, but whenever I see a baby picture
Of her.
of her or pictures from when she was little,
Yeah.
she's always climbing on top of me, like, look, see, we always were like this, and why aren't you affectionate now? And you're always see, that's how I love it. And just like, Dad, you know that I'm a grown person now, and you love that version of me so much. You know, I'm here. I said, I know, but I loved when little Miley would, and that was weird. That I wanted so badly to have the little person who needed me and would climb on top of me and make me feel good, and so I needed her to check me on that. So I think the thing that I love most about the woman that she is becoming is I love that she is taking the lessons that she's seeing from her parents. I love that she has a voice, because I was not raised in a household where, I think like a lot of kids of my generation, I'm going to go on a limb, especially I think a black household where, you know, you weren't allowed to talk back to your parents. There were, you know, like there are memes we make fun of, like, you know, when you go to little Timmy's house, screw you, Mom. I mean, like, folks make fun of that, but really there was none of that in
You're
the
getting
household.
slapped, you're getting spanked, you're getting...
Beyond it being a military, beyond the fact that my dad was always in the picture, and I could tell you stories that my dad was, if my household was a country, Dad was the defense system that was always on alert, and the president, the ruler of my country, who ruled with an iron fist. Wayne, if you step out of line, I'm bringing in the dad.
Wow.
And there were a couple times when the dad, let's just put it this way, when your dad flies from Stuttgart, Germany, because of some that you did in school, and you walk home that day off the bus, and you see a car in the driveway that you know should not be in that driveway, and your heart sinks because the last conversation you had with that man was, listen, Junior, if you put my mother through changes, I'm going to put you through that wall.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you're not here, and she's always on my back, and you know that. Okay,
Oh, man.
I'll see you later. See me later. He's in Germany. I'm smart. I know how far Germany is, and the Army's just not going to let you come. So that being said,
Wow.
there was rarely any talking back in my house. And so even when I felt that I wanted to express myself, because as much as my grandmother and I, and my grandfather was in the picture to a certain point, he passed when I was 10, loved that guy. It was not the household. My grandmother was right. So whatever it was right. So if no, that is not fair. That is not to sound artsy fartsy, but there are times when I've had to, as a character, what does it feel like to be shut down? I've had to go back and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what that means. To have to hear something, and my mouth is so closed that my jaw's hurting, and it goes up into and I feel it, and I can't say anything. And then it's like, do you have something to say? No, ma'am.
Inside you're like, yes, but you're like,
Yep, no, ma'am, I don't. And so I never wanted that for her. So the fact that I have this beautiful, intelligent daughter who can speak, and she has her voice, she's like, Dad, I disagree with you. Mom, I disagree with you on that. Not disrespectfully, but the fact that she has that, I love that in her. And for a while, I think there were times when I reverted to the old school, I reverted to what I knew. It's like, don't say that to me. That is disrespectful. How dare you? That is disrespectful. And her mom did it too, because we're both children of that generation, until, thank God for therapy, we had to go, she wasn't being disrespectful, man. She was just she's just speaking and speaking her piece. And that's what I love about my daughter. I love who she is.
That's beautiful.
And I love what she will and will not accept.
Right.
I love that.
That's beautiful. I'm so glad you guys are, deepening that relationship now.
Oh, that's my girl.
Yeah, that's cool. You talked about in the beginning about chasing, as when you were 16 and moving out here to LA in your early 20s, you were chasing after any gig you could get and money to come in and opportunities. I also know that I talked about, you had a stutter and you were bullied, picked on as a kid. I had a similar situation for my childhood. Do you feel like you were more chasing success to prove people wrong? Or were you running from something because it was too painful?
That's a great question. I think in equal measures, right? I think it's in equal parts, because both of those things have to exist. So, and all of our childhood journeys and the things that we remember only recently, because I'm writing this one-man show. So it's made me try to remember things.
Uh-huh.
And as we know, our memories are the most unreliable narrators, right?
We blow it out of proportion.
So we remember
change things that didn't happen.
Right. It's the most unreliable. So even now, it's forced me to really try to rethink a lot of things that I've taken as canon in my own superhero origin story. It's like, well, that's exactly how it happened, because that's how I got here. So it's made me go back and re-examine things. So yes, I was definitely bullied. Yes, I definitely dealt with that, I think, by internalizing things. And there was a time when I did have what I think of as a close to debilitating stutter.
Really? How old were you then?
Oh gosh, I was in early elementary school, because a few things happened, right? So my grandmother was from the Virgin Islands, and my grandfather, so the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas and St. Croix. And so the neighborhood that I was raised in, it was predominantly Black, middle to lower income housing. And so from the get-go, I never quite fit in with the kids around me because of how I was raised in the house, and because of my grandparents' accents. And I had a very thick accent to up to a certain point. And then I was, a big part of my early story deals with how do you learn to become a man, even when you're a boy, because, it starts when you're a boy. So what are those lessons that you're learning? And what are those toxic lessons? And what are the lessons that you're learning culturally? So I'm this Black kid in this Black neighborhood, being raised by these parents that, even though they're Black, they are not like the other people in this neighborhood. So I'm learning a whole different cultural lesson and vocabulary and everything. So I'm already different. So that's one layer. Kids smell something different. They don't like it different. I'm already a bit of a, back then a nerd was a dirty word. Now finally it's grown into folks like, oh, I'm a nerd too because I cosplay. Great. But so I enjoy certain things that are not what the other kids enjoy. Then in kindergarten, and I don't know how, I would never do this to my kid now. I'm glad I was tested. And so it's advised that I go from kindergarten to second grade. So he's smart, skip him. In order to make that happen, then I'm bused from my neighborhood to an all-white school that's more affluent, and they have this program. So I'm splitting time between there. I'm dealing with identity issues. There was a lot that I was working with that I didn't know how to handle. And I couldn't talk to my grandmother, or I didn't know how to, even at that young age, I didn't know how to talk to them about the things that I was feeling. So in second grade, I'm already dealing with issues of race and belonging that I was not equipped. On top of regular bullying, kids are assholes.
Right.
Across, we are little jerks. But I was dealing with something, and only recently have I seen that. I was dealing with a big issue. Like, how do you deal with an issue of race and identity, and then on top of the regular hazing that we do to each other? So I didn't know how to deal. So my defense mechanism, which starts the beginning of that, am I running from something, is now I either fight back or I run from it. I feel bad, can't talk to grandma, which became my whole life.
Really?
I love my grandmother more than anything. It was one of my best friends. And we talked about stuff, but I tell you, there are a lot of unresolved conversations that we never had. We never had in my life. I've kept a lot of stuff that we never had these talks. No one to talk to. So I kept my own counsel.
Wow.
So that was the Wayne that now I'm very used to keeping my own counsel. I don't talk to people about things. And I'm very quiet, very serious, and very withdrawn, because that's my way of not dealing with these people that now I get into it with them. So then that's the kid that goes, I'm going to get out of here. The first chance I get out of here, the first chance, I'm getting out.
Wow.
And I'm going to use whatever is at my disposal to get out. Because now I understand, and especially going to the schools that I started to go to, now I understand what it's like to be, you don't know that you're poor until somebody else points it out.
Makes fun of you and laughs at you and picks on you.
Making fun, and there are a whole bunch of things. But so now I see that. So now I'm like, okay, I see what it's like. Those people must be happy, because I've been to their homes and I walk in and they make me feel special because they let me in. And oh my God, their houses are so big and their clothes are nice. And they let me in here because some of them feel I talk a certain way, or that they now attributed this thing to me of like, oh, you're a good one, especially being from the South. So when you're from the South, you'll know what I'm talking about. So you're a good one. So now the race issue comes back. How do you deal with your identity? I'm getting a little older, dealing with issues of race and culture, and I internalize all of it. So yes, I run away because I'm like, as soon as I get the chance to get the hell out, and I'm going to show all of you. I'm going to show all of you how much better I am. The fact that you kids in my neighborhood said that I wasn't this and I wasn't that and I wasn't good enough. And then the other kids in the other school, you made me feel small because of everything that you had, and you made me feel this way. I'm going to show everybody.
Wow.
And that is a very unhealthy place to start from, because there wasn't love and acceptance of self.
Wow.
There was no self-love. I didn't want to start acting because I loved myself, and I loved when I found a talent and I was like, I love this thing, and I'm going to hoard this thing and keep it to myself. And no one knows that I wanted to do it until I was 16. No one knew. So I was in my bedroom percolating,
Really?
Doing voices, writing scripts, learning to sing and copying people on TV. So when I actually came out and did it, the kids in the group was like, what the, Wayne's on stage? He says, yeah. It was like, yes, this is what I do. Ha, see, look,
Gotcha.
that's
Yeah.
me, I'm out. And it was also to show my grandmother. It was to show my family, because none of them got it. So when you start from a place of your whole thing is based on, look at me, I'll show you, that is not the healthiest spot. I was happy to be on the show. So I'm happy that I'm on this show. And yes, I know objectively that people are laughing at the show because that's what it's supposed to do. So if the thing is doing what it's supposed to do and that I'm being rewarded for that, that's great.